what is my unique strategy, or what is my strategy of doing that? I think where I've been very successful is I just do a lot of stuff and eventually something works. So I think there's a few things in marketing. I'll say three things that I think are simplest, that's not a word, but number one, have a just singular goal. Facebook did it. AppSumo.com has done it. And I think even recently with my dork world and helping people overcome fear and start businesses, I'm kind of like having a bunch of goals. I'm like, here's our TikTok goal. Here's our Instagram goal. Here's our email list goal. Here's our organic traffic goal. Here's this. I'm like, what is our most important goal? And I was like, just even pick one for some period of time. And so I think I've come into that realization, like, let's just pick YouTube and just be okay with that. And guess what? That'll rise all other ships. So don't be ignorant of those other ones, but just focus on one. Second thing is that as I was doing a lot of this content recently, which has gotten me really fulfilled, and it feels good, feels great.
On YouTube or okdork.com?
Mostly YouTube, mostly in YouTube world. The second thing that's been most critical, and this is really hard because everyone says they do this or wants to do this but doesn't, who is my audience? Who is the audience that I really want to be helping and communicate with? Because on one hand, I want to connect with like 9-figure CEOs and 10-figure CEOs. And I actually don't think there's a lot of content of how do you go from 7 to 8 or 8 to 9, and I can share how we do it. But that audience is really small, and they don't really need as much help. And so we've realized like our audience is dudes 25 to 40 that have tried to start a business, that haven't been successful, that are afraid of failing and need a little bit of help. And so I think the second part of marketing that I've gotten revisiting is, who am I really trying to talk to? And what are the words? So like, here's some words that we've even identified that our audience resonates with. Rat race, freedom. So I'm like, really? All right. Self-doubt. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking about. And then the third part that we're thinking, and I think this is applicable for every business, is what is your unique strategy of success? Like, so with that, we have two parts. One, what's our core messages that this is our unique like bread and butter that you will know. I was talking with Ramit about this, and he's like, you have so many messages, just pick 3. So I was like, all right, challenges to overcome fear, $1 million weekend, and behind the scenes of an 8-figure company. That's the 3 that we're going to do, and that's it. And then the second part of
wait, say that again. So those 3 are the 3 what? The 3.
So basically, let's take a step back. So 1, what's your goal? Pick one goal. Number 2, who is your customer? Number 3, what is your core messages that people know you for? So for me, those are the 3 that I'm going to be known for. Challenges, which I always tell people to do the coffee challenge, which is ask for 10% off when you buy coffee. You're going to be afraid. You're going to learn about yourself, and you're going to grow. Secondly is behind the scenes of an 8-figure company. So like, how do you like that? There's not a lot of people that have that experience, and I can do that. And the third part is, how do you actually get $1 million business or $100 $1 million business started in a weekend, which I've done many, many times, and I can share, which is unique. And then the last part of this marketing equation that I think I'm exploring and revisiting around all these things is, what is my unique strategy, or what is my strategy of doing that? I think where I've been very successful is I just do a lot of stuff and eventually something works. But I think I will be even more successful slowing down, being a little more thoughtful with these things. And so our unique strategy lately has been to do the fast stuff, but on lower risk items. So basically tweet and Instagram and LinkedIn post fucking everything, like throw it all out there unlimitedly. And then based on what works, aligning to our core messages, that's what we'll go deeper in. That's what we'll write a blog post about. That's what we'll do an interview about. That's what we will do a YouTube video about. And so it's just having a higher likelihood of home runs. That's what we're doing.
And how would you...
Hi, Shaan. I'm going to hold the mic like you. You look like a therapist.
Yeah.
Tell me how you really feel.
So how old are you now? You said you're almost 40?
I look and feel 32, but I'd say I'm about, in physicality in our society, 38. Not physicality, in our whatever traditions, I'm 38.
Okay, cool.
Human years.
I am 32 and I look and feel 38. So
you do look 38, bro.
I'm trying to go the other way. So
I said that with love.
So if you were 21 again, 21, no network, no name brand, you're starting up from scratch, and you don't have to go the same pathway you went. I'm curious, if you had the luxury of picking any path, now that you know of so many more paths than you probably knew about when you were 21, what path would you go down?
Honestly, I think I'd copy my path.
Which would be what? So you're 21. What do you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I did. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I went and tried a bunch of stuff out to figure out what to do. I think one question is what delta would I have chosen, and I'll tell you exactly what that was. So at 21, I didn't even know what a BS was. I got it from Berkeley. I was like, oh, Bachelor of Science is cool. Everyone kind of follows a stream, right? Like when you graduate from college, which I think less and less is becoming important. Everyone's like, oh, get a job, go to Intel, go to wherever. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what everyone's doing. But I've always wanted to start my own company. I just didn't know what to do. And so I think the two things that I did really well when I had that day job at Intel was that I used that as my investor. And the two things I'd recommend is that I started a lot of businesses. So if you're like, I don't have any idea, two things you can do. One, go to sendfox.com and start a newsletter and send an email once a week for 365 days or for 52 weeks. That's number one. Or number two, go on YouTube, take the Ryan Holiday Challenge, and post a video on YouTube for 30 days. Start there. The second thing that I did is that I connected with people very aggressively, and I asked anyone I knew for anyone that they knew that was really smart. That's how I met Tim Ferriss. That's how I met Orrin Hoffman, Dave McClure, James Hong, Max Levchin, Ramit Sethi. I basically put on events. I hosted lunches. I organized conferences. I didn't know anyone, but I wanted to bring smart people together. So if you don't know any smart people, find one smart person. Say, hey, you should meet this smart person, and then just go and hang out with both of them, guy and girl. And guess what? You could do it on Zoom if you're in a remote country. Or if you don't have any connections, I think one of the ones I've really observed lately, every person I've hired that's been the most impressive has done two things. They've offered something for free, to a value that I've wanted, and they did it without asking. And those people have been the most impressive. And guess what? Now they're like, hey, I want to meet this person. I want to do this thing. I want to grow here. I'm like, that most of them are now working with me. And so I think that was something very early on. I was very aggressive on meeting people and just trying to build my brand. In terms of career, I think one thing I did very well is I was really great about following my curiosity and things I was really excited about. So I really loved Facebook and I really loved Mint. And I was like, I'll do whatever it takes to work there. I think the only difference I would have chosen is find someone 10 to 20 years ahead of me that I think is doing the things I would like to do in 10 to 20 years and be obsessed or aggressive in figuring out how to make them excited to want to be a part of my life. So I had one guy, Doug Hirsch, who was my boss at Facebook, and it didn't really work out as well as a mentorship, but it's nice because like you can say, oh, that's how you do a relationship. Oh, that's how you do a career. And it'll shortcut it. You just have to figure out the real most important thing is how do you get them to give a fuck about you? And the best way to do that is help them with whatever things they're working on. So
you want to hear something crazy, Shaan? I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if Noah knows it, but I created my company, which is it's an okay company. It's been good for me. It started because Noah had a blog post about organizing conferences. And I was like, what was it called? It was called like how I made $90K hosting a conference or something. Was that it, Noah?
Mm-hmm. I made $250,000 in conferences because I didn't know I was going to make money doing them.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, well, I had a book club at the time and I was like, well, I've been hosting these meetups, but I don't make any money from it. I should like make money off this thing. And so I started my company. And I've made millions of dollars personally off conferences because of that blog post. And more importantly, or maybe not more importantly, I met actually all three people on this call and most of my friends and coworkers.
Because of that blog post?
Because of that blog post. I met Neville because of that blog post. Neville, the best man at my wedding, I met because of that.
Good for you.
So what you're describing of what you would do and how basically you described like hosting events and which is similar in the same vein as posting content. I did the same thing and it made me millions of dollars and it met all my best friends that way.
Awesome. I mean, I think the only other thing that I was doing at the time that I think everyone should do. So number one, build your brand in some way. Even if you're not trying to be a personal brand, I think practicing writing is a skill you can use in sales, you can use in development, you can use in design, you can use it almost literally forever. I think the connections, very valuable. Literally probably the reason I'm a multimillionaire is because I've been able to meet and help people and connect people, connecting and meeting. But the third thing was that I was starting a lot of businesses. And I think what's beautiful is especially earlier in your life, your cost of living is so damn low. And my cost of living is still damn low because I haven't grown up in some ways and I'm maturing in certain ways, that it's so low that you should take a lot of risk very early on in trying a lot of things out. So like when I was working at Intel, I was doing this college consulting. I did a thing called ninjacard.com. I was putting on these conferences that I charged for. And then I was working at Mint. I started doing the Facebook apps. Like I did all these games and I started making a lot of money. And I was working at morning. I was working on weekends. I was working at lunch. I was working at nights. I was working. I kept going, and I kept trying a lot of different. And eventually, after probably 2.5, 3 years, graduated in '04, and three years later, my side hustle finally became my main hustle.